Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you had a fantastic week wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours. I know the weather's still playing up in lots of places and, you know, it's sort of one of those things that we can't control as human beings as much as we'd like to, as the weather. And there's lots of areas of our lives that we can't control either. This week we've seen the ceremony for the passing of Queen Elizabeth. And, you know, the world mourned. Everybody watched together, I suppose, around the world on their devices and their televisions as we laid to rest the longest reigning queen that the world has known. And that leads me to think that, you know, nothing ever stays the same, does it? No matter how much we think that we're in control of something or that our lives are, you know, rocking along nicely. We've got some stability there. We've had somebody in the chair there for, you know, in the throne for over 70 years. And then all of a sudden change, you know, the passing of the Queen, you know, the swearing in of the new king. And, you know, whether you live in a Commonwealth country or not, it still affects all of us because it makes us realise that we are no longer immortal, that life is changing constantly, that life is constantly evolving, changing, and not always to the way that we like it. So that brings me to the Simply Tarot card of the week. And before I start, I don't want you to panic. It does not mean what it says on the card. It's called the Death card. The Death card never, ever, ever under any circumstances means death of person. What it means is death of situation or endings. It's a time of new beginnings. It's a time of renewal. It's a time of actually excitement because it means that many of the things that we've had going on in our lives have now come to a completion. We've completed them. It's final. We can now sort of open the doors to some new and exciting opportunities that are coming into our lives. So don't ever be scared if you get the Death card in a reading. It just means massive changes coming along and a mighty big congratulations that you've achieved or completed an area of your life that you've been working on for a very, very, very long time. So I take this as a very positive card that maybe the world at large is moving into a better phase. Maybe for each and every one of us, we can now start to sort of take some steps forward after, you know, enduring a very long pandemic and lots of changes around the world. Maybe now we've got something to be excited about. And I think that's really important if we look at something that we've got to be excited about. We still have the sun sitting in Virgo. It'll only be there for another 24 or so hours. So it's interesting that as the Virgo time of the year draws to a close, what have we learnt in the last month? Well, most of us have learnt that, you know, we've had to make some changes in our lives. Many of us have looked at our diet and health and hygiene and sort of decided that, gee, maybe we better use that gym membership or we should go for a walk around the park or do something more with our lives. Whatever changes that you've made, even if they might only seem small, I want you to keep them implemented now. This was just the beginning. It's now time to keep moving forward. We have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is conjunct or holding hands, the sun in Virgo. So this means it's a perfect time if you want to fall in love. If you've just met somebody new, then it's a time where, you know, enjoy the time of the early romance, but also make sure that you fully understand what this person is about. You know, what you see is what you get. There is no shades of grey here. It's a very raw sort of love that, or, you know, opportunity here for love where we're really able to see somebody for who they truly are. There's no mask on them, that people are really presenting the real true them. And if you don't feel connected in that way, then maybe it's time to walk away. It's a time to sort of be brutally honest with yourself and say, I don't just want someone in my life, I want the right person by my side, because I can assure you having the wrong relationship is not good for you either. You may as well have no relationship as have something that's very toxic and causing a lot of drama in your life. We also have the sun conjunct Mercury. Now, Mercury is actually retrograde at the moment, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But the sun conjunct Mercury means it's a time where we really need to make sure that our communication is very clear, that the messages or the information that we're trying to share with other people is very precise, it's very clear, it's very to the point. No beating around the bush. Don't elaborate, don't embellish it. Just give them the straight, hard, cold facts and give it to them in a positive sort of way, in a way that they can digest in small pieces. Don't give them the whole novel, give them the shorter version. And that way, then everybody sort of won't switch off because they become bored or it becomes too long or they're easily distracted in other areas. They will focus their attention on what you've got to say. Now, Mercury goes retrograde, which is the planet of communication, goes retrograde or seemingly backwards in the universe 3 times a year for up to about 3.5 weeks. At the moment, Mercury is still retrograde, will be till October 2nd. So we still have another week or so of a Mercury retrograde. During a Mercury retrograde, I try, if at all possible, not to sign any official documents unless I can thoroughly read them. And by that, I mean I print them out, I read them out aloud, I read them to someone else. I make sure that I fully understand what's on the document if it's of any great importance. Because Mercury retrograde, we all tend to be slightly distracted. We can read something, think, yeah, that's right, and just sign it. But we haven't really absorbed what we've read. It's a time when our devices, mobile phones, laptops, all those sort of things, if they want to play up, they'll play up during a Mercury retrograde. It's the time when parcels get lost, people sort of send things to the wrong address. And it's also the time in these more modern times when the scammers are up to their biggest tricks. Or it seems to be when we, the public, get fooled more, again, because we're not paying attention. So I know here in Australia there's lots of scams going on all the time, as I'm sure there is around the world, where people are trying to get money off you for fraudulent reasons. And they're becoming more and more sophisticated and clever at what they're doing, that they send emails and information that looks exactly like the company that you deal with. So subliminally you think, oh, yeah, that's legit, and you sign it, or you log on to it, or you do whatever they've asked without really thinking. And this is very easily done under a Mercury retrograde because we're just looking for sort of to get on to the next thing because we are slightly distracted. So please just be super, super careful. Be careful of your communications. Not the time to go and ask the boss for a raise in salary. Time to sort of do your best work and, leave those sort of really important discussions if you can till after October 2nd. We have the North Node, which is one of the Moon's nodes, which is showing us the way forward, is conjunct or holding hands Uranus in Taurus. Now, what this means in layman's terms is each and every one of us are being asked to try and do our very, very best to move our lives forward in a positive sort of way, in a way that will bring us more stability, more security in our lives. Now, there may be some sudden opportunities that could arise. For many people, there's changes of job on the horizon, changes in opportunities to get where you want to go really quickly. You have to really make sure that you weigh all these opportunities up very carefully. Sometimes it sounds great on paper, but when you actually look at it, is the extra money really worth it if it means another 10 hours a week at work? And sometimes the answer is no, that, your work-life balance is probably more important than some extra dollars in the bank because, you can't take it with you at the end of the day, but you certainly can spend time with your family and your loved ones, which sometimes outweighs what extra financial bonuses we might be getting. It's also a time to look at the things that are important to us, that we really do need to stand by our principles, and the things that are important to us, our own set of rules that we live by. And this is what the North Node is trying to show us. It's the time to put those sort of things into action. By doing that, there should be, or there can be, some very big rewards coming our way. Now, rewards always don't come in the form of finances. Rewards can come in many different ways. It can just be that opportunity to spend some more time with family and loved ones in a very loving environment, in an impromptu gathering or something that you weren't expecting, and it's a really joyful occasion. So rewards come in many different ways. For those fire signs, particularly Aries, Jupiter, the planet of luck and opportunity and expansion, is sitting in your sign, will be there for about another 11 months, so don't squander this. It's a time if you want to make changes in your career or you want to sort of really step out of your comfort zone and sort of achieve some really brilliant things. Now's the time because you have Jupiter there with you, helping you and guiding you, but also landing things in your lap. If you've been handling your life in the proper manner over the last few years, then Jupiter will bring the rewards that are welcome and are yours, that are rightfully yours coming towards you. So watch out for those if you're particularly an Aries. But if you're a fire sign, if you're a Sagittarius or a Leo, there's some wonderful golden opportunities coming your way too, in that sort of the overlap of what's happening of Jupiter in Aries. So for darling little Pisceans, they still have Neptune, their ruling planet, sitting in their sign, really sort of paving the way for them to sort of really be illuminated at the moment. People are starting to take notice of them, and it's not because they're out there strutting their stuff. They're just doing what they've always done. But it's now sort of as if, a nice soft light is shining on them, and people are starting to take notice and sit up and say, hang on a minute, they've got something really important to say. I might take a little bit more notice of this than what I've done in the past. I didn't think that they were really that educated or that flamboyant or had anything really super positive to talk about, but hang on a minute, what they're talking about now is making sense. So if you have a Piscean in your life, you're very, very fortunate at the moment, because they really do have a lot of wisdom that they can share with us all. We have Mars, the planet of action, is sitting in Gemini. Now, I always like it when Mars is sitting in Gemini, because it means each and every one of us can have some really great thought patterns at the moment. There can be some great ideas, some great opportunities coming towards us that we really need to be sort of looking out for. So make sure you have a pen and paper handy if you're old-fashioned like me, or maybe your device or your tablet, that you can jot down your ideas, because they might just come in and go just as quickly again. So it's a time of great inspiration, great opportunities that can be heading towards us. And it's a time where we really need to be focusing on what we can do in our own little lives to help make the changes that are very, very much called for at the moment with all the global warming stuff. And it is not a joke. It is not somebody's imagination. The weather patterns are changing around the world because we need to take action. We need to start taking responsibility, and responsibility starts with each and every one of us. Just making a small change by making sure that you sort out your trash, things like that, things that can be recycled. Try and recycle as much as you can. Cut down on your plastics. Walk instead of taking the car, if at all possible. All these little things might seem small and might seem minuscule, and how are they going to help? But collectively as a globe, if each and every one of us just does one small thing every day, that will mount up to being a big, big thing and helping to save the planet. And, I know I talk about it each week, but it is really urgent that we do need to get on top of this and really start to look for alternatives instead of the way that we've been going. So let's hope the news continues to be good out of the Ukraine, that, they start to take back more and more of their territory, and fingers crossed. And I know I might be being a supreme optimist here and a daydreamer when I say, well, let's hope Russia's going to sort of take their weapons and go home. That would be a really, really nice thing. And I know that might be a little bit naive. Maybe they're just trying to regather their strength and have a bigger and better onslaught. I hope not. But whatever happens, we all still need to stand by Ukraine and do our bit to help them free themselves. They deserve to be able to live in freedom and peace in their own nation. So we're going to talk with Echo in Pollock Pines in California. Are you there, Echo? What a lovely name.
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, Echo?
Yes, I'm investing a lot of my, I'm not going to say extra money, but whatever extra money I have in a candle business. Do you see it being profitable?
Okay, sweetie, that's a good question. I mean, candles are one of those things that they're still extremely popular all around the world. My only concern with that is that, have we got to saturation point? Is there too many people out there producing candles? What are you going to bring to the marketplace that's different to everyone else? And that's sort of my only concern. Is I'm not going to say don't invest your money. I think it's a wise thing to invest in. I think it's something that, if it gives you pleasure in making them and producing them and sharing them with other people and hopefully making some money along the way, then that's a good opportunity. It's something that I don't see sort of, being a fad thing that's going to disappear in the next couple of years. It's been around now, as, people sort of tried to say to me 4 or 5 years ago, oh, it's a fad, it's going to pass, people are going to get sick of them. But I don't think so. There's more and more people that are using the power of candles every single day in their lives, whether it's just because it's calming, whether they like the smell of it. Other people are using them to change their different things in their lives. People burn candles for many, many different reasons. As long as you don't put too much money in too quickly that you get too ahead of yourself. You've got to invest some money, start your little business up, still keep your day job and see where it goes, like sort of understand that it's not necessarily something that everybody's going to flock to you to buy because you're the only person in the world that's got them. You've got to find your own sort of niche market. Were you making candles for a particular reason?
I've done it for over 30 years, and I have different styles and similar styles.
Right. But why now are you trying to sort of boost this up? Are you looking to sort of try and maybe make this your
I'm
full-time
actually looking to
income?
start a metaphysical. I'm actually looking to do a metaphysical store, but I'm starting with candles.
Right. Okay. Well, I think it's a great place to start. I just want to see you take it slowly and sort of, test your market as you go along. I mean, metaphysical things, I don't think are going to go out of fashion anytime soon either. I mean, as more and more people start to look at the metaphysical side of life as being normal, instead of, years ago, people used to think we were weird if you were into that sort of thing. It's becoming much, much more mainstream and much, much more accepted. So I just think as long as you take it slowly, I think you'll be fine, Echo. I think you're right. You're right on the right track, sweetie. And don't lose sight of where you started with your candles, because I think that's important too, that, you still maintain that connection there as well. So that's where we're going to leave Echo now. We're going to talk with Laura in Lawrence in Massachusetts in the USA. Are you there, Laura?
Yes.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Laura?
Well, right now I'm in the hospital, but lung surgery. Just wondering how everything's going to be going from there on.
Okay, sweetie. Technically, by law, we're not allowed to talk about medical issues because I'm not a doctor. What I can do is talk about it on an energetic level, that I do feel whatever you're working with at the moment is going to be successful. You're sort of really starting to turn the whole of your life around, and it's not something I think that you've approached easily or lightly. It's sort of like you've really sort of given this a lot of thought before sort of proceeding forward with this. Has there been some other changes in your life as well this year? Have you been sort of like sorting things out, working out what it is you want, where you want to go, what the next steps are in your life?
Yeah, just starting to live my life normal again and go on vacations and,
Yes.
go back to having a good marriage and able to do things again.
Yeah, and I feel
all of that.
Yeah, I do feel that will be possible, but I feel we've got to approach this very sort of slowly and very cautiously. It's not like, we're going to wave a magic wand and tomorrow you're going to be perfect again. It's going to be a gradual sort of process. And that's good because I think you're mentally now prepared for what's ahead. And that's a big thing. You've got to be mentally and emotionally, I think, ready for the changes that are coming. And you've done that. You've looked at every crevice of your life and sort of said, well, okay, I'm keeping this bit. That goes in the I don't know pile, and that bit I'm letting go of. So you've really sort of prepared for this over a long period of time. Would it be fair to say next year, Laura, that you're looking to change residence?
Everyone says that. I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah, because what I was picking up, what they were showing me sort of going forward, which I don't normally do on the show because we've got such a limited time, but going forward, they were showing me next March, and they were showing me that you were in a position where they were showing me you were doing a happy dance, that you were in the best place that you've been in a very, very long time, and physically able to move and do things that you haven't been able to do easily for a long time. And it's like, now I'm sort of ready to embrace the world. And it's like, do I really want to stay here anymore? I don't know whether I want to live here anymore. And it was like a big question mark about, do I stay? Do I look for something new? Am I ready to sort of make a bold step like that? I'm going to stick my neck out here and say, I feel you will move, because that's what the indication was to me, that, you might move in March, but I think that'll be the start of that process of the thought patterns, the thinking. You get out of bed one morning and think, I don't think I want to live here anymore. And it's time to, you're looking around like a child in a toy store, looking at all the wondrous things that you could have, trying to decide what it is that you want next. So I think between March and June next year, there's going to be some massive changes in your life, Laura.
Okay.
Where I'm not going to ask you to put the brakes on. I'm just going to say to you, if an idea comes to you like that, don't just get up and decide to move tomorrow. Let it build, let it get stronger, let it get to the point that it drives you nuts, that you know then that wasn't just a passing thought. It was truly your spirit guides guiding you, helping you, suggesting to you that maybe it's time for a change. And that's the best way that you know whether it's, your intuition, or was it just a thought, a passing thought. If it gets to the point that it drives you nuts, then you know it is your own intuition telling you that, okay, it's time for change. So they're showing me a beautiful, beautiful, big, gigantic, enormous pink heart. So is there no one special in your life at the moment, Laura?
No, my husband. I've been with him.
Oh, your husband. Oh, good. Wonderful. Yeah. So that relationship must be starting to blossom again between the two of you.
Yes. Wonderful. Definitely. The healthier I get, the better it's going to get. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But I think he's also sort of such a, how can I put it? He has such love for you.
Oh.
And I think that's why they were showing me this enormous, ginormous pink heart, and it was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It was like blowing up a balloon, but the heart itself was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's why, I wanted to make sure that there was someone in your life, because if there wasn't, there was someone coming. But I felt there was already someone there, so it's good to know you've still got a husband, and he just is just in awe of you. He's a man that I think sometimes struggles with talking about his feelings, but he knows what he wants to say, and it's in his heart, but he sometimes can't get the words out. So, sometimes you'll see him sitting there looking at you and you think, what on earth is he looking at? Well, that's where he's in his little mind, where he's got all these things running through his mind he'd love to say to you, but he can't get the words right. So he just sits there and sort of lets his mind do the talking. Do you know what I mean? As he sits there and admires you, but he's been so concerned about you, and he just, he's tried his best to support you in every way that he can, but and also not show you how concerned he's been. But he truly is an amazing man, and I think he's ready for a change too. I think when, you come up with the idea of a move, he's not against it. He sees it as sort of like a celebration of everything coming good in our lives again, that, maybe this is the right thing to do.
Right. Definitely.
So I wish you well, Laura, because I know that it's going to be, a time ahead of you, but you know what you're up against, and you're mentally and emotionally and physically prepared for this. So the best of luck with the changes that are coming up, sweetie.
Well, thank you so much. I very much appreciate you taking the call.
You're very, very welcome, Laura. That's where we're going to leave Laura in Massachusetts, in Lawrence in Massachusetts. It's interesting because how the readings tie in with the card of the week at the beginning of the show, where, we've got endings, changes, transformations coming up, new opportunities that we've got in our lives. And that's just an example of it with Laura, and also Echo, with the changes that they're bringing into their lives, ready to take those bold steps, ready to sort of move on with their lives, as each and every one of us should be, ready to take some new opportunities, dare to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. It's a really positive time in our lives where we can achieve all these things. It's not the time to sit back and sort of say, oh, woe is me, I can't do anything. Each and every one of us has a special skill, or a unique set of skills that are what is our skill, is what we were sent down here to do. And it's not always about being a world leader or somebody in the public eye. It can sometimes just be something simple, like, being a small producer or creator of something, or just being a better person, being a better neighbour, being a better partner. There's many ways that we can shine. We don't all have to have centre stage. So for each and every one of us, the next 7 days is about, digging deep, finding out what our passion is, what we're good at, and trying to make the world a little bit better place. So it's, it's a time of change. It's a time of excitement, and particularly as we head towards the last quarter of the year. Soon we'll be all getting frantic and getting ready for the holiday season, which is my favourite time of the year. I just love it, that people get excited and decorate their homes and are thankful for the changes that might have come about in their lives, and not so thankful for some of the others that we didn't really want. But all in all, It's a positive time of the year as we move towards, the holiday season. So for those of you that watch the show regularly each week, you'll know that I always pick a particular song that, for some reason or another is important to me that week or comes across in my mind as something I'd like to share with you. Last week I shared with you You'll Never Walk Alone by John Farnham, and it's one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard, and there's many, many, many different people have sung that song, and I still think it's a song that's very appropriate for each and every one of us. But for those of you here in Australia, John's fighting cancer at the moment, and we send our best wishes and we hope he makes a full recovery. He's one of the most amazing people I've ever had the pleasure of not so much working with, but he's been my inspiration over the years. And one of the other people that's been a great inspiration to me throughout my career, and I've had many ups and downs as most people do, is Neil Diamond. So I want to leave you with one of my ultimate favourite songs of Neil Diamond's, and there's so many to choose from, but this one in particular I think really says it all. It's called September Morn. So until next week, bye for now.